Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast for Disney Cruise Line history, trip reports, and travel planning. Well, welcome back. Before we get into today's show, I'd like to throw out there that one of the best ways for you to get in contact with us is through our Facebook page, and that's DCL Podcast on Facebook. And in the coming weeks, Christy's going to put together a little giveaway, some gifts that we're going to send out to a lucky listener. So really encourage you to come on over and kind of join in the fun with us over on our Facebook page. Well, with that said, we're going to jump into this evening's show. And this is going to be a fun topic, I think. I hope you enjoy it. It's a topic that I don't think I've ever actually heard anybody else on a different podcast talk about it in regards to cruising with Disney Cruise Line. So I really want to say thank you to Jen, one of our listeners who came on and talked with us about her and her husband's experiences cruising with Disney Cruise Line. So sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's episode. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast. And tonight I'm pretty excited because we've got a topic on tonight's show that I've never actually had the opportunity to talk to somebody about before. And I'm kind of excited about it because my wife and I are actually doing a cruise next year in the spring by ourselves. And tonight, I'm really excited to bring to you listener Jen from Wisconsin. And she has been on, or actually I should introduce you first and say, hello, how are you doing tonight?
Hi, great. How are you?
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And tonight's topic that we're going to talk about is you guys have been on how many cruises now with DCL?
4.
4 cruises. And what is a little bit different about your and your husband's cruising habits? Well, it's not habits, but in cruising, what's a little bit different?
Well, we don't have any kids, so we don't cruise with any kids. It's just me and my husband.
And that's the topic I'm pretty excited to talk about because, as Disney as a cruise line is kind of known to be such a huge, and people kind of think about it as a family-focused cruise line. And I know a lot of people have talked about the fact that you can cruise Disney without kids, but I don't think I've ever actually talked to somebody who has cruised Disney without kids, and that's what I think is going to be kind of fun to talk with you about tonight, Jen.
Absolutely. I'm very excited.
Cool. So what got you guys interested into Disney Cruise Line? Were you guys big Disney fans before you went on a cruise, or how did you get started with Disney?
I am absolutely a Disney fanatic. Ever since I was a little kid watching the Disney Channel, watching all the shows about Disney World, Disneyland, and we were looking at places to take for our honeymoon. And we saw an ad for Disney Cruise Line, and I'm like, I didn't even know Disney was doing a cruise line. And so we went on our honeymoon on a Disney Cruise Line.
Awesome. And what cruise did you guys take right off the bat? Where did you guys go?
It was back in 2009 on the Disney Magic, and we did St. Thomas, St. Croix, and Castaway Cay.
Awesome. So was it a 4-day trip out of Port Canaveral, maybe?
It was actually a 7-day. There were several sea days in between there, but it was out of Port Canaveral.
Okay. And you guys have taken 3 other cruises since. Which other cruises have you guys been on?
So the first one was our honeymoon. The second one was on the Fantasy, and that was the Cozumel, Costa Maya, Castaway Cay one. The third one was also on the Fantasy, and that one we did Grand Cayman, Jamaica, Castaway Cay. And then the last one we just did this past May, we actually sailed out of Puerto Rico on the Disney Magic and did Tortola, St. Kitts, Antigua, and Castaway Cay.
Wow. So how was that cruising out of San Juan? Was that tough to get to?
Not at all. I mean, the flight was a little long to get to Puerto Rico, but the sailing out of it was just fine.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool. Well, before we get into kind of your guys' experiences on the ship and stuff, I guess now that you've been on 4, what is it about DCL that you guys love? And I guess what I mean by that is a cruise line which is kind of from the outside looking in, so family focused. Do they make it easy to travel without kids, I guess? And have you found it, easy to travel that way? What is it about DCL that keeps you coming back?
It's the service, it's the quality, it's Disney, they have so much for adults to do without the kids, and they have special sections and restaurants and entertainment for the adults that even people with kids, they can put their kids in the kids club and adults can have fun on their own, which is why we love it.
Uh-huh. When you guys have gone on your Disney cruises and whatnot, let's just talk about, I guess, the ships themselves. We'll start off with that. What kind of cabins do you guys like to book?
We've kind of had one of each. On the Magic, we've had a veranda, and then the last time on the Magic, we actually did a room with a large porthole window. Mm-hmm. And on the Fantasy, we actually did the inside stateroom so we could experience the Magic porthole.
How was that? I've never done that before.
It is actually pretty cool. So they have a camera that's set up so you can... There must be a camera like in the bridge somewhere just pointing out to sea, but then every 15 minutes on screen, characters will pop up and do fun and silly things. And then we've also done a veranda.
So you guys have kind of experienced all different parts of the ship as far as the different type of room categories there are. Once you guys get on the ship, what is it that you guys like to do, you and your husband?
First thing, we usually like to have a sit-down lunch. Then we like to walk around and, see what's going on. We like to look at our navigators or the app to see what activities are going on. And then we like to get in our room and just kind of sit down and relax, unpack. We usually kind of order in stateroom gifts like a bottle of sparkling cider or wine and do that, and we kind of wait for the safety drill to happen. Mm-hmm. And then after the safety drill, we either go to the show, go to dinner, do some activities.
So who's the bigger Disney fan, you or your husband?
I would say me, just by a little bit. My husband is a fan of the movies, and he actually has been to Disney World before I have, but I've been a fan ever since, like the early 80s, watching Disney on TV, and that just got me hooked.
Oh, yeah. So so getting on the ship, we've talked about kind of the staterooms that you guys have stayed in and some of the things you like to do that first day. Let's talk about the food. So as, a couple traveling by themselves without kids, how do they normally set that up for you guys? I know that you could always request to sit by yourself if you want to, but what's been your kind of experience when it comes to like dining in the main dining rooms when you guys go there?
So we always prefer the later seating just because we know that there will be less kids, but it's also less crowded overall. Uh-huh. And we've never actually requested a private table. We just let Disney put us wherever they want to put us. Mm-hmm. And so we actually end up at a table with usually either 2 or 3 other couples. So
like kind of couples like yourselves that aren't traveling with kids necessarily?
Right.
Okay, I was kind of curious about that because in the past, when the first cruise we did, it was our whole big family. And then the second cruise we did, you could really tell that they matched up our kids. It was like the other family had 2 boys that were the exact same age pretty much as our boys, and they put them together, and then the adults on the outside, because kids kind of have a tendency to kind of jump in and start making noise and making friends right away. And
right.
And so I could see how they kind of worked that out. They kind of, and now that I've been on subsequent cruises, kind of looking around, you can kind of see that. So I was kind of curious what they would do if you didn't have kids. And have you found that enjoyable as far as meeting other couples while you've been on the ship?
Absolutely. I mean, you meet people from all over the world. And like on our first cruise, on our honeymoon, we were so new that, we did a little bit of research, but there were kind of tips and tricks that these 3 other couples helped us so much. It was so great. And then not only that, but you sort of, like know somebody so that if you're at a trivia game and they're there, you can say hi, you can maybe join up and be a team. You can see them throughout the ship, or if you go on excursions and they're there, you kind of already have somebody, that so you're not complete strangers.
Right. It's a great meeting way to meet up with people and have something in common with and then come back during the dinners and maybe talk about how you spent your day, huh?
Exactly.
Awesome. So have you guys done some of the specialty dining too, or do you tend to find yourself liking to stay at the main dining rooms? Like, have you been to Palo or Remy?
Both. And we love both.
Okay.
We love Palo a little bit more just because we love Italian food, and my husband's a vegetarian and I'm not that much of an adventurous eater, so Remy is a little out of our comfort zone. But we have done Remy and we love the experience, and they cater to my husband's needs as well as mine.
Perfect.
Yeah, and we loved Remy has a dessert experience where you can go down and sit for like an hour and a half, and the chef will come out and explain all the desserts, and you just get to eat desserts.
Oh, nice. You're talking my alley there, because I love desserts. So.
Exactly.
Well, cool. So besides the dinners, have you guys eaten in cabana? Well, do you guys do cabanas usually in the morning, or what do you guys do? Room service, or how do you attack that?
We've kind of done all of the above. We usually like to do room service once or twice a cruise just because it allows you to sleep in and it allows you to have, just be in your room, be relaxed. We've done cabanas, and we've also gone to, one of the main 3 restaurants to have a sit-down meal as well.
Okay. So then before we get into some of the ports and excursions that you've got some memories on, what do you guys like to do during the day on the ships when you're at sea? And the reason why I ask that is because, as you kind of stated, there are on each one of the ships kind of separate areas that are kind of adults only, and then there's kind of the main pool area where it's a little bit of everything, and then there's the splash pad, which tends to be some of the younger kids. Where do you guys find yourself hanging out when you guys have those sea days?
If the pool's not too crowded, we like to go to the pool. On the Fantasy, we actually tend to go to Serenity Falls, and that's the little waterfall kind of area where you can kind of wade in some water and it's just adults up there.
Mm-hmm.
And we like to go to the movies. We like to do trivia and bingo. We've done like they said, the Remy dessert experience. We've done a mixology class where our Facebook group has set up a mixology, and you go into one of the pubs or the bars, and they will teach you how to make 6 or 7 different drinks. Or sometimes if you've had a busy day before or after, sometimes just hang out in your room and watch movies on demand on the TVs, which is great.
Cool. So let's go back to the Facebook group. Do you guys do that prior to each one of your cruises as far as trying to meet up with people before time or ahead of time on Facebook?
Yes, we've done that on all our cruises except for the first one because we didn't know about it.
Right. The other 2 couples kind of gave you that tip. So
yeah,
how's that worked out for you guys? Have you enjoyed that? Has that really helped you to meet people ahead of time so that once you get on the ship, you got somebody to kind of gravitate towards?
Absolutely. It was great. On our second cruise, we actually met somebody from Australia, and he was a gamer. He played board games, and we play board games. So we actually met up on the Facebook group, and then when we got on the ship, he had brought some games on board, and we met up for a half hour, a couple of days, and played some games. It was awesome.
That is so cool. That's pretty neat. And I know I'm kind of dancing around this question, and I guess part of the thing that's kind of got me curious is the very first cruise that we went on, we did an Alaska cruise, and after being on board 7 days and kind of, you kind of I guess being maybe in the later dining where you say that's less people, my guess is probably maybe some less kids maybe in the later dining, but it seems like you kind of flow through with the same people in some ways based on who you're traveling with. And I remember talking to my wife the very last day, and I'm kind of dragging this question out, but the very last day, as we're getting off the ship, all of a sudden there was like about maybe 4 or 5 couples all around us with little babies, and I don't think I had seen a baby the entire time on the cruise. And I was like, where were all these people with the babies? And I started thinking about it. It's like, well, they were probably, I mean, just with a baby, you've got a different schedule than when you've got, elementary school kids versus high school kids versus no kids. So,
right.
Do you kind of feel, I hate to even ask it this way, do you feel like not segregated, but do you kind of feel that same way? Because as you're traveling around and spending your time on the ship doing the mixology classes, do you even notice that there's that many kids on board? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
No, absolutely. Sometimes you notice, like, if you're sitting in the pool, I mean, even though it's adults only, there are people passing through going, back and forth. So you do see the kids. Sometimes, earlier in the day, the bars will open up for family activities. So you will see kids sometimes in the bars. But, it's not that big of a problem. I mean, you'll see kids passing in the hall, but if you're in your own little world and your own little activity, you don't even really notice it.
Yeah, and I don't mean that you don't like kids or anything. I didn't mean it that way whatsoever. It's just listening and talking to some people, and I think that's what's kind of got me intrigued about this whole topic is the fact that, Disney is kind of known to be so family focused that I think that a lot of people probably that are traveling by themselves or traveling without kids, they might steer away from DCL because they might think that there's nothing for them to do on it. And from what I'm hearing you say, and from, I guess, what I've seen and experienced, that there really is a lot of different things that you can do on board if you're not traveling as a family per se.
There is so much. And even if you, I'm a person who likes to go to the character meet and greets. I'm a person who, on the Fantasy, we did the midship detective agency thing. I like to get involved in those kids' activities too. I mean, there are some times where I wish we could go to the kids' clubs and play.
You and me both. I'd love to be able to go drive fly the Millennium Falcon one of these days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It would be so cool. Well, cool. And I hope that didn't come across as a negative whatsoever.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. So, well, cool. Let's talk about some of the ports you've been to, and we don't have to go through all of them, but now that you've been on 4 of them, is there any ports that really stand out to you guys that you really loved and would love to go back to?
Well, I'd have to say St. Thomas was the first one. The port area was neat. It was clean. It was a little hot for our taste, but it was just, when you think of a tropical island, that's kind of what you think of, and it was just great to see. Grand Cayman was another favorite. We actually went to the turtle farm and got to pet and touch and play with sea turtles. It was amazing. The port itself was beautiful. We just got off a cruise in May that went to Tortola. We love that. That's like another kind of St. Thomas where it's just beautiful and pristine. And when you think of tropical island, that's what you think of. And of course, Castaway Cay is always a favorite.
That place is amazing. I didn't know what to expect. We finally got to go there this last spring too. And what do you guys like to do when you get to Castaway Cay? What would be like a typical day that how would you spend it?
We go straight to Serenity Bay, and we camp out the whole day.
So they have food over there as well. We didn't make it over there. We were splashing around at Pelican Falls, and then we did snorkeling. But do you know, is the food options over there pretty much the same thing as they have at the regular family beach?
Yeah, it is. It's cookies, barbecue, and yeah, it's the standard like corn and hamburgers and hot dogs and I think ribs and chicken, and yeah, it's the same as on the family beach.
Okay. Is there anything different over there then, besides it being, kind of a adults only beach?
There's a bar on that side. I don't know if there is on the family side.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, they have the adult-only cabanas. But other than that, I don't think there's anything really different. It's just off to the side more.
We're going to have to go back there and take some time to explore the island a little bit further. It goes by so fast when you get to Castaway Cay, because there's just so much stuff to do. So, well, wonderful. Have you guys ever snorkeled or done any of the other things that there are to do in Castaway Cay?
We haven't snorkeled. We haven't, I mean, we've kind of done some walking on some of the paths, and we, stopped and take a picture or two, but we haven't. The one time we got a cabana, we got our float rentals for free, so we did that, but we haven't done many activities. I've wanted to go parasailing, but they always seem to cancel it because it's so windy all the time.
Oh yeah, I just saw somebody posted a picture on Twitter, I think, about a couple months ago, as they parasailed past the Fantasy, I believe, and it was just an amazing photo shot. I thought it was just so cool to be able to do. So I'd love to be able to do that someday, like you would too.
Yeah.
And I think they canceled it the day we were there because it was a little too windy as well. So I guess you got to hit it that right day. Another reason to go back, right?
Exactly.
Well, awesome. So what about the shows? Do you guys tend to go to the big shows in the evenings, or do you look for, and it sounds like you like to go and do some of the trivia and maybe some of the games and the mixology classes and whatnot. What are your thoughts on the shows?
We have seen all the shows except for the Golden Mickeys, but we were able to watch that on the TV in our bedroom.
Uh-huh.
We like some of the shows. We're Broadway people, so we absolutely love the shows. We just saw Tangled on our last cruise, and that was great. I love how they overlay the bar into the Snuggly Duckling. It is so awesome.
It's killing me because I have not been. We didn't go to the Snuggly Duckling the 2 times we were on the Magic, and we're gonna have to go. We're gonna be on there next summer, so we're gonna have to do it next time. So that's a pretty fun experience, huh?
Yes, very much. So at night for the adults, the main cruise activities guide, they dress up as like some of the pirates or some of the bad guys from Tangled. Mm-hmm. And then they do, instead of bingo, they do Thuggo. And it has pictures of all the thugs, and you try to get a Thuggo. And it's just great. They acted out. Some guys come in as the brothers and pretend to hijack the show. It's great.
Have you seen them come through when they come through the dining rooms while people are eating?
Yes.
And that's kind of a neat experience too. I wish they'd run with that even a little bit more. I think that's just kind of a cool experience when...
Agreed. I wish they would do it like all day long, but they only do it like for, half of the day or so.
Yeah, I've never done a Star Wars day at sea, or I guess you've got the Marvel ones where, you kind of wake up and it's just all Marvel themed and stormtroopers are walking around. I think it'd be kind of fun if they maybe run with that a little bit more on those Tangled days. So besides the shows, what else are some of the other activities you guys like to do in the evenings?
We like to do trivia, of course. We also like to go around and basically just walk around the ship looking at the artwork. On the Fantasy and the Dream, they have the interactive artwork, so we like to play with that. We also like to just walk around the staterooms and look at how people decorate their staterooms, their stateroom doors. It's kind of neat to see, what everybody's, favorite Disney character is, or how they like to celebrate their cruise.
So what would be on Jen's door if she was traveling tomorrow on a DCL cruise?
There'd kind of be an outline of a Mickey, and then there'd be a ton of magnets of everything.
So just an overall huge fan.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything else that I'm kind of leaving out that you guys enjoy doing when you guys travel with DCL?
We've been on a Halloween cruise, and that's a lot of fun for adults, too, because they do have like a Halloween costume contest for adults. They do have activities for adults. We would like to do a Christmas one, and a Star Wars one, a Marvel one. We just like to enjoy the ship, like the overall, just everything, like take it all in, do some of the kid activities like the Midship Detective Agency. The movies are great, especially when you get to be on the ship when the movie's just about to come out, because it's a first release on a ship. So we've gotten to actually premiere 3 movies on each one of our cruises.
Do you remember which ones they were, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, our honeymoon was the Jim Carrey Christmas Carol one.
Oh, The Grinch?
And then, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then we got to see Wreck-It Ralph, which I was so excited for because that was all about gaming. And then on this last ship in May, we actually saw Guardians 2.
I finally went to our first movie this last cruise. We went and saw Doctor Strange, and what a beautiful little theater to be in and taking that in, especially on a sea day.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And like, I forget what cruise it was on, but we were just sitting there and all of a sudden Goofy just walks in and takes a seat. He's like jumping around and doing his goofy stuff, and then he takes off right before the movie starts. And I'm like, that's kind of the little touches that I love about Disney Cruise Line.
It is, and I think it sounds to me like you're just a big kid at heart, and I like to.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and I like to think that's, and you know what? That's what draws me to DCL as well. My wife and I just had an opportunity, I think, on our second cruise. The kids were in the kids club. We just dropped them off, and there was a little girl walking down the hallway ahead of her mom, and all of a sudden, around the corner came Tinkerbell. And you should have seen this little girl's eyes just light up. And Tinkerbell, we stepped back and just kind of watched it. But Tinkerbell danced with this little girl and was just playing with her for probably about 5 minutes. And we didn't stay the whole 5 minutes, but
right.
I mean, just those little moments like that it wasn't even like our child or anything like that. But, you know, being kind of a kid at heart, you could just appreciate kind of the magic and see the way it, you know, I'm not even sure I can give it words. It's kind of like what you're talking about with Goofy, just that. Those are the neat experiences that you can take away that you really can't find anyplace else.
Right, exactly. And like I said, even though we don't have kids and we don't cruise with kids, you know, seeing kids, you know, light up when a character comes, or see them light up when they like win in trivia, or, you know, just that kind of stuff kind of touches your heart too, which is great.
It does. And what's your favorite character?
I would have to say Mickey, of course, and I have to say Peach from Finding Nemo, the starfish.
Oh yeah, that's a random one there. And
yeah,
she shows up on the porthole, right? Or am I wrong?
Yes, she does.
The magic porthole, that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, awesome. And I guess to go back just real quick, and I think a lot of people probably know this, but what you're talking about as far as some of the adult activities in the evening, a lot of times like the shows that they'll have like a magician or a juggler or whatever else, or on ours it's been a ventriloquist a couple times. And not only do they do a family show, but in the evenings they'll also do kind of an adult show. So have you guys gone and seen them?
Yep. We actually saw a ventriloquist, a comedian, and I'm trying to think of who else we saw. Oh, a magician done, nightly shows. Yeah, we like to go to those too.
Mm-hmm. And so it's still more friendlier than maybe, but a little bit more edgier without the kids, right?
Right.
Is there anything else I'm missing, I guess, Jen? Or
I would just say for those people that are considering DCL that don't have kids, I say do it, especially if you love cruising. It's, you know, it's not only the fact that you don't have kids that you don't feel like you have to go on a Disney cruise. You should, to experience the quality, the service, the entertainment, the movies. If you're a trivia buff, if you're a movie buff, if you're, you know, whatever, there's something for everybody.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but have you felt this way too? Like when I'm on the cruises, I almost feel like, you know, no matter what you go and get involved in, you know, the other people that are getting involved in it too, they're kind of putting themselves out there, and they're just so, you know, I mean, I felt like everybody's just kind of in it together, sort of like they're really welcoming. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like we did a trivia one night, and, you know, we're kind of going back and forth with this other family because we were kind of neck and neck, and we weren't in first place or anything. We were we're down in like trying to get third place or something, you know, but it was all in good fun. And afterwards we each high-fived each other, and I think they got third, and it doesn't really matter. It's just for the fun of it anyways. But yeah, just, get out there and do it. It's such a magical experience. And whether you have kids or not, like you've said tonight, there's just so many different opportunities to have fun and really enjoy yourself on a DCL cruise.
Absolutely.
So I have to ask this question then as we kind of wrap it up. Do you have another one planned?
We do. We are going to Alaska next year.
So you're going on the Wonder, and
Yep.
Have you been to Alaska before?
I have not. It has been on the bucket list for quite a while, so we are very excited.
Well, that was our first cruise, and I tell you, that was probably, you're going to love it. The scenery up there is just amazing, and I'll throw this out there. Have you had Clayton as the cruise director before?
Yes.
Yeah, do you like him?
Yes.
I love Clayton. You seen him do his funny little dance. I forget what he calls it.
Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and he got up the first day, and so I'll throw this out to you just because I get to travel to Alaska quite a bit for my job. But when you go to Alaska, just remember these words: rain or shine, we're going to have a good time, because you never know what you're going to get up there. But boy, the scenery is just spectacular.
Yeah, we've seen pictures, and we are so excited, not only for Alaska, but to go on the Wonder.
And that's going to be your first time on the Wonder, right?
It is.
Are you excited about going to Tiana's place?
I am. I was excited when I heard that the Wonder got, updated their restaurants, and I am very excited.
Yeah, that's one of the experiences I love New Orleans, and I love the food from down there. So I really think that would be kind of a neat experience to have dinner at Tiana's place.
Yeah, and I've heard some about the entertainment and the stuff that they do during the dinner, and yeah, it looks exciting. I can't wait.
Oh man, well, I'm so excited for you. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your night tonight, Jen, and kind of talking about your guys' experience on cruising with the Disney Cruise Line without kids.
Thank you very much for having me on.
And I wish you and your husband just great winter coming up. I hope it goes by fast so that you guys are on that ship soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a good night.
You too.
Well, that is going to wrap up our show tonight. I really want to say thank you once again to Jen for coming on and taking time out of her day to talk to us about her and her husband's experiences while cruising with Disney Cruise Line. It was a lot of fun talking to her. And if you would like to come on the show and share your experiences, or if you think you've got a good topic that's a little bit different out there that you'd like to talk about in regards to Disney Cruise Line, please reach out to us on either Facebook. You can find us at DCL Podcast on Facebook, or through Twitter. And Twitter for myself is DCL Podcast. Or you can reach out to Christy too with Pack Your Pixie Dust. And we'd love to have you come on. It's super easy to do. We just record using Skype, and it's always a good time. So once again, thank you for coming back, taking a listen. If you have time to and have enjoyed what you heard tonight, we sure would appreciate it if you go to iTunes and give us a review. That helps us get the word out to other listeners about our show. And if you are heading out soon on a new adventure of your own, all of us here at the DCL Podcast would like to wish you fair winds in your sails and safe journeys as you head out on your next adventure. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.